All right, so before I get into the main juice of this video here, I just wanted to take a second to say if you do like this content that you're about to watch, or if you like interviews, I've done over 50 plus interviews. I've been doing my podcast for over 3 years now. I'm just starting to get into the visual part of this stuff right now. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just take a second. If you like the video, feel free to subscribe to my page and like the video, or even leave a comment with some feedback of what you think about it. It can be content wise, it can be the actual discussion that we have. Did you like it? Did you not like it? So would love the feedback, would love the support. So if you have a chance, please go ahead and do that. So I saw this now getting into the show. I saw this thing on Twitter. I guess this happened during the in-season tournament. I didn't see this actually show up live during the broadcast, but it was they showed a LaMarcus Aldridge, who obviously the San Antonio Spurs, Portland Trailblazers player of several years, and the caption is on the broadcast is LaMarcus Aldridge, and then under that is kind of a way to identify him, NBA legend. And then the quote on this tweet here is like, "Is LaMarcus Aldridge an NBA legend?" Now, before I get into the context of is he an NBA legend or not, I wanted just to take the time to share this story here real fast. Last year, around this time last year, I went to a Milwaukee Bucks game, and during that Milwaukee Bucks game, there was they showed a TJ Ford on the big screen at the Jumbotron of the Bucks game. And the caption below that said TJ Ford, Bucks legend. And I remember that very vividly because I tweeted that at the time. I was like, is TJ Ford a Bucks legend? And if you actually look at like his stats, now I have this pulled up here. I think it will still do that on the sharing thing with my software I'm using. If you look at TJ Ford, he played 8 years in the league. He was a first round lottery draft pick from the Bucks, so that's significant. Literally played only 2 seasons for the Bucks. And my memory could be wrong. I do not think they are necessarily like Bucks seasons where they made super big, deep playoff runs. It wasn't anything special or spectacular. My point of bringing that up and sharing that is the NBA, more so than any other sport, is going to like kind of give people credit or give people an accolade or a title a lot faster than anyone else. So I just kind of wanted to point that out as a little bit of a context for this thing here with LaMarcus Aldridge, NBA legend. Now, getting into like, is LaMarcus Aldridge an NBA legend? I guess that gets into the context of like, where do you put legend status? Do you put it at like, do you say, oh no, there's only like 20 legends in the sport? Do you say there's only 30 legends? Do you say you have to win a title to get a legend? So you can kind of like debate all of that stuff, and you can kind of like, pick it apart in 100 different ways. But I'll frame it in a different question here for my interpretation of this. Is LaMarcus Aldridge a Hall of Famer? So if you really kind of look and break down his career, for people that don't know it, that don't know his accolades, I like to, and just kind of as a premise, and sometimes it puzzles me that people don't really think about this and do this stuff with sports and like deciphering if someone's a legend or not, is hold on, I'm gonna stop the share here. Is I think sometimes a lot of people, I see it a lot of times more in like football, where people will compare like I saw a video a long time ago that was like, is Ben Roethlisberger better than Dan Marino? And it showed like their stats compared to each other, and it was basically like look, Big Ben's stats are way better. And football is really bad because we've evolutionized like the game so much where it's like it's pro passing. We figured out the numbers. People throw a lot more, and they just put up way bigger numbers. And it's like, no, Dan Marino's the better player. He had the better career. And I think we need to focus more on like, not only did somebody get this amount of points or this amount of yards or whatever, but like, how did that compare to everyone else, in the league? If someone, like getting 25 points, averaging 25 points per game in the NBA today is a lot different than doing it in like 2003. You kind of understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot easier to do that now with the way the game's played, with pace and space, with the analytics of shoot more threes, free throws, things like that. It's a lot easier to get it now than that. Now, relating this to Marcus Aldridge, and kind of like his legacy, is if you look at his legacy and his resume, 7-time All-Star. He made 5 All NBA teams. 3 of those were third teams, and 2 of those were second teams. Um, he had teams that made the playoffs, never made an NBA Finals. Was either the first or second best player on a lot of those playoff teams. You know, if you look at it, because he had a few of those Dame Lillard years there where they made a few playoffs. I think they won a playoff series or two together. And then if you kind of look at his career, he does kind of get screwed a little bit because he goes to San Antonio in 15-16. It's this like big free agent acquisition. Kind of made news because he, you know, I think he met with the Lakers and it was like a really weird meeting. And that was kind of the beginning of like hey, the Lakers are kind of a dumpster fire here post the Kobe era. And he goes to San Antonio. They win 67 games. I think they're the 2 seed. They lose to Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook in their last year together. Then the next year was when the Kawhi injury happened in the conference finals against like the unbeatable Warriors. And then the year after that, he Kawhi only plays like 9 games, and then the next year he gets traded for DeMar DeRozan. And that's kind of like it of LaMarcus Aldridge playing in like as a star in big time important basketball. So he kind of made this move of like, hey, I'm going to San Antonio to try and compete for championships. And things just really, he had 2 years where there was a chance. And then other than that, it was like San Antonio's obviously competitive, a playoff team, even without Kawhi. But he really didn't get that chance to like really show up in the big spotlight. If you look at a lot of his games in the playoffs, he'd have some like really monster games where he kind of figured out that perfect like turnaround fadeaway in the post. Like he was really, really efficient with that. And I was just kind of looking at his resume here today before we recorded this, and he's going to make the Hall of Fame. 7 All-Stars, playoff appearances. There are people that are in the Hall of Fame that have less of a playoff resume than LaMarcus Aldridge. And here's a big number here too that I saw. And it was, I believe it was the top comment on that tweet was LaMarcus Aldridge is a 20,000 points game scorer, which is kind of like if you read about like MLB and their Hall of Fame and the Baseball Hall of Fame, like a strict number that if you get into the Hall of Fame, there's been stats about this that I've read. I'm sorry, I can't point out specific examples because they're from like 80 years ago. But there are some people that were like better baseball players that hit like 494 home runs, let's say. But a worse baseball player, if they got like 7 more home runs, just because they hit that 500 home run mark, like made the Hall of Fame. There was like a few instances of that. In NBA and basketball, that 20,000 point barrier is a very high barrier that apparently, according to the tweet, I actually didn't fact check it, but we'll just say that the tweet is accurate. Because I'm guessing it is. The only like 50 players in the history of the NBA have gotten to 20,000 points. Now, again, LaMarcus did play in the era where health and fitness, you're able to kind of have more of a longevity. The game is less physical. The game is gravitated more towards scoring points. But I still don't think that matters. I think he was an elite player for multiple years. He has the stats, he has the accolades, and he's made a few playoff appearances. So I think he's going to make the Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's that much of a hot take. It's not a hill I'm willing to die on, but LaMarcus Aldridge could play, man. And a lot of those Twitter comments, too, were saying, like, hey, man, this guy was pretty awesome. He did have those Portland runs. As far as the caption, maybe they could have said, like, Blazers legend. Maybe they could have said former Spurs, Nets, and Blazers player. But either way, I'm fine with it. After I looked at the details of it, it did kind of catch me off guard where it's like, whoa, wait a second. Well, what's going on here? Is he? And it's like, yeah, I'm fine with it. So there you have it. I think LaMarcus Aldridge will make the Hall of Fame. Leave your comments below if you think he should or shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. And again, like and subscribe if you like it.